And welcome, Finger Lake Cast on FingerLakes1.tv. It's Thursday, November 21st, 2013, and this is the first episode of our third season. And we're coming at you live from the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. I'm Jim Sinicropi, and as usual, I'm joined tonight by my co-host, the leading scorer in the history of Minders Academy, Matt Verkey.
Good evening, Jim.
Welcome back for another season of high school basketball, Verk. I mean, the way last season ended was probably one of the best seasons in 20, 30 years with, Minders playing Clyde and Waterloo, and then Minders playing Lions in the Big House, Geneva, Lions, Minders, all sectional titles. Newark, I think, went to the sectional final game and lost. So, looking for a repeat this year, but it'll be tough to cap. We got a great show tonight. Got Brian Miller holding on the line, head coach of the Geneva Panthers, defending Finger Lakes East champs. We also have Zac Young will be in studio with us to talk about the Wayne County League, also defending Wayne County League champs, sectional champs. And we're going to talk about the new season. So, big show on tap for sure. So we'll get right to it. The Upstate Hoops Podcast is brought to you by Generations Bank. Generations is service for over 140 years. Visit them online at mygenbank.com and check out their new mobile banking app in the iPhone or Android app stores. And also by Red's Place, serving great lunches daily in downtown Seneca Falls. Come down and watch all the big games on one of their 10 flat-screen TVs and check them out online at men'shalloffame.com. And Seneca Meadows Landfill, responsible waste management for the next generation. See how they do it by watching their videos at senecameadows.com. So, without further ado, let's welcome Brian Miller into the show, head coach of the Geneva Panthers varsity boys basketball team. How you doing tonight, Coach?
Very good, Jim. Bert, thanks for having me on again. Certainly appreciate it. We just got off the floor from practice, so otherwise I'd like to be there in studio with you, but I've got a face for radio, so I think I'm better off here, actually.
Good practice tonight?
We just had practice. Yeah, I just got done.
Good one?
It was okay. It's kind of been up and down with this group so far this year. So we're kind of looking for some leadership right now. So we're kind of searching for that. But I think we've got a talented group. It's just we're not really putting everything together yet. But it's early, so I'm not panicking yet.
Yeah, you lose Sean Sweeney, a 5-year varsity player.
Sean was pretty good, but we lost Shane.
Oh, Shane, yeah, my bad. Lost Shane, and then also Jordan Donahue. So those guys were your starting backcourt for the last, for pretty much all the time that you've been there, right?
Yeah, both my seasons, those guys started. We lost Danny Hickey was kind of a glue guy, like a 3-man that did a little bit of everything for us. So we lost 3 starters, but we returned some guys that had a lot of experience last year, and we're kind of long for the run, but. We're still trying to find ourselves here early in the year.
Who's going to replace those guys in the backcourt? Have you made a decision yet who you're going to start at point, shooting guard?
Well, I don't think any one person can replace a guy like Sweeney, who's the school's all-time leading scorer and the Fab Five Player of the Year and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's going to be really by committee. I don't put it on anyone to kind of take his spot. He did such a great job for us, but. Steve Dolgus has been doing a nice job with us handling the point. Last year he was kind of a forward or a wing, but I asked his AAU coach this summer. I told him he's going to have the ball in his hands a lot, so he got some experience doing that this summer. So he's doing a very good job with us right now. Another kid that didn't play last year, D'Italian Dennis, who's a very good athlete, one of the football receivers, and he played on JVs a couple years ago, and he's backing up Steve right now at the point, but he's a pretty good player too, so I feel pretty confident in the backcourt. I think we'll be okay. On the off guard right now, we have Jack Walwork, who again played for us quite a bit last year. Forster's way into the lineup.
Quarterback on the football team, right?
He's the football quarterback, and he broke his wrist about 3 weeks ago and played through the sectionals, won the sectional championship with a broken wrist. So he's got a cast on his arm right now, so there's not a lot he can do, and that won't come off for a couple of weeks. So we've been with the football team doing so well, and I was very happy for Coach Payne and those guys, but at the same time it made our practices very disjointed for quite some time. We just got everyone back about a week ago now.
So in one place that there isn't as much concern is the front court. You got some big boys in there, probably the biggest team in all the Wayne Finger Lakes leagues with Sims Jr. at 6'5", and Terrell Johnson coming back at 6'3". Nakia Jackson, 6'1", still a little bigger than but those guys are probably expect big things from all those guys I just mentioned.
Yeah, I think our best offense might be a missed shot. And the way Terrell gets after it, he's been really playing very, very well above the rim. With him and Sims together in the front court, it makes a matchup problem, I think, for our opponents, which is nice for us because, Junior has the ability to kind of step outside and face up and shoot the ball, and Terrell handles it very well for a kid of his size, and he's very strong and mature for his age, and I think those two are going to be a problem. You want to try to match up with bigs, I think they can face you up a little bit, and if you want to play some smaller, quicker guys on them, I think they can both get into the post. So it's a very nice thing that we could do with our front court. The big thing is going to be, can we get the ball to them in the right spots, and then I think they'll be able to finish once we are able to do that. So, and again, we're pretty athletic too, I think, up front, which will help us. I think overall we may be even more athletic as a team than we were last year. It's just I think our decision making right now is not real good. So that's something that we're working on every day.
Hey, Coach, what do you think? Any change in style from years past this year with your philosophy and what you're looking to do offensively or defensively, or still going to stick with that 1-3-1 and?
Yeah, that's been our bread and butter, and the kids love it, and they've kind of hung their hats on that in the past. So we're not going to change anything as far as that goes. I think we're going to try and push it like as much as we can. I think what we're going to see is I think we'll see some zones because of our size. So we're going to have to learn to play better against the zone. We have to have some people step up and make some shots from the perimeter for us to loosen things up a little bit. But we scrimmaged last night, and we played a very athletic team from Freddie Thomas Marshall, and they came down here, and they played us man in the first quarter, and we won the quarter 18-0. And we were just really executing, which is kind of surprising to me, to tell you the truth. But then they went zone pretty much the rest of the game, and we struggled with that a little bit. I'm giving away some secrets here. I'm sure Victor and first opponents here are listening in. I think we're going to try to see some zones against us, but that's fine because we're going to work on that and get better at it. And it was a good scrimmage for us. It really evened out after that start we got off to.
Yeah, looking at your schedule here, obviously you start off, you got Victor at home, and then Niagara Falls Cataract. Who are they?
Actually, it's a tournament. Niagara Falls. It's called the Cataract Classic.
Okay.
It's a bunch of schools there. It's like a one-day event where there's about 5 games in a row, and we're just playing a single game. We're actually playing East Aurora High School.
Okay, so that's what the East Aurora is. Then
Bishop Kearney and Niagara Falls play the last game of the day.
Oh, nice.
So it's a bunch of games. Batavia High is playing in it. So it's just a bunch of games throughout the day. So it's a real nice event run by Sal Constantino, the coach out at Niagara Falls.
Nice. And then in league play, they're going to start you right off with Newark Minders and Wayne to get that going. First league game at Newark. That's not doing you any favors there either.
No, who made this schedule? So they'll be very good, obviously, and they'll be waiting for us. And I told the guys today, we talked about some team goals today. We had a meeting talking about some team goals and things like that. And, one of our primary goals is to try and win the league again. And now we're kind of the hunted instead of the hunters. I think everyone's looking to get after us, and we've got to, every night in the league is not going to be no nights off, that's for sure. And we get thrown right into the fire with a game at Newark right off the bat. So we'll know where we stand early on. Whoever can, come out of that game with a win, I think then the other guys kind of chasing them the rest of the way. But there's some other 2 good teams in our league too. It's not just going to be, Newark, Geneva, that's for sure.
Yeah, let's talk about a couple of those other teams in the East. You got Minders with a new head coach, Nick Ciotti. He appeared on the Weber This Week show on Monday. It's a pretty good interview. And, of course, Minders led by Luke Ruddy, one of the best big men, and certainly looking forward to the Minders-Geneva game with Ruddy matching up with your big guys. And then you got the Wayne Eagles. They lose Trey Lamora, but I think they got one of the Hollenbeck kids, Coach Miller, still there. Mike Hollenbeck, is it?
Yeah, Michael Hollenbeck is a kid that really the first time we played them, he heard us. We were focusing on some of the other kids like Bobo and Lamora, and we kind of said, we'll let Hollenbeck kind of do his thing, and he had like 32. We still won the game, but he did a real nice job against us. He's about 6'7", pretty athletic, runs the floor very well. I was being recruited by a lot of the D3s. Coaches I know have called me and asked me a little bit about him. But he's definitely one of the top big guys, along with Luke and my guys, I think, in the league.
Yeah, and then looking at Newark, I was looking at their roster, and a lot of people are really high on Newark, Verk, and they aren't that big, though. I see them having trouble matching up with Geneva. I mean, Micah Wright is obviously fantastic, preseason player of the year candidate in Wayne Finger Lakes. Then they got like a guy like Jamie Rosser. I think he's 6'1". He might be their next big guy. They're not that big, and I'm looking at, Minders with Ruddy, Geneva with Sims and Johnson, and Wayne with Hollenbeck. That's big size advantage. So it'll be interesting, to see how it plays out. And
yeah, I think obviously there's some big kids in the league, and Newark lost their big guy, and but Newark, 1 through 5, they might not be, they might not have that 6'4", 6'5" kid, but they got decent height throughout, and very good athletes on that team.
And Coach, before we let you go, I just got to ask you one more thing. You guys went 19-0 last year against public schools, I believe, and then your season was ended, in Class A, or was it Class A, right?
Yeah, we were A last year.
And this year it's A2, I believe, right?
Now we're A2, yep. They
Okay.
split. What happened was there's this new classification deal with these city schools having like 2 or 3 schools within one building. Like some of the like East High School, for example, was at AA. Now they're at A1, so they're down with us. But A actually split into 2 different brackets because there's enough teams now. Once you get over 17, they break you up into 2. So we're in the smaller of the 2 A's, which is still pretty tough. But the good thing is there's no privates. Aquinas was moved up to AA. And obviously, Kearney stayed at AA after winning the state championship. So we get to play public schools this year. I'm happy about that.
Yeah, but you still do get to play Aquinas at their own tournament, though, on December 27th.
Actually, some guys were mentioning that today. So, it won't be pay. It's a whole different year and different teams. But that's something we're looking forward to going and playing. We'll play them on their court. We felt like we let a couple games get away against them last year. Both games were tight the whole way through, and so guys are very, very much looking forward to that. So we do get a chance to play them again. So again, that's around Christmas time, a little after Christmas, that weekend after, we're playing up in their tournament. And I asked them if we could play them first. A lot of times you want to try and stay away, and their coach, Coach Sidonia, agreed, said it was okay. So we're going to play them first, so we know we get to play them.
Great. Well, Coach Miller, thanks for taking the time after practice to talk to us tonight. We're certainly looking forward to a great season. We're webcasting a handful of your games as part of our schedule on Finger Lakes 1 TV this winter. And so I'm sure we'll be in, it won't be the last time you're on the Upstate Hoops podcast, and we'll be keeping in touch throughout the season. So best of luck to you and your kids.
Thanks. Anytime, guys. We appreciate all you guys do.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, Coach, have a good night. That was head coach Brian Miller from the Geneva Panthers, defending Finger Lakes East champs. And we're going to come back after this 60-second break, and we got Zac Young, head coach of the defending Class C2 sectional champion Lyons Lions. So hang tight.
We hold on to the things that really matter. Welcome to Generations Bank.
Hi, I'm Jody Torrio. If you're like me, you've got stuff lying around the house that you want to recycle. You're just not sure how. Like broken toasters, vacuum cleaners, microwaves. At Seneca Meadows, we have a drop-off for those. Bring in anything with a cord, and we'll make sure it gets recycled through our partnership with 2TRG. It's that easy.
And welcome back to the season premiere of the Upstate Hoops Podcast here on FingerLakes1.com and FingerLakes1.tv. And without further ado, I'd like to welcome in one of the good friends of the Upstate Hoops Podcast, head coach of the Lyons Lions, Zac Young. Welcome.
Hi, Jim. Thanks for having me again.
Great to have you back. You excited for the new season?
Yeah. Excited to get a little closer to games here. I know the kids are real excited. Seems like a real long preseason this year.
How come?
I don't know. It just seems like it's like an extra week more than normal.
Plus, you're defending your sectional title, so
yep, that's right.
That's got to be a good feeling. Come into the season as defending sectional champs.
Yeah, it's a good off season, but it's a new year, it's a new group of kids, and a new challenge. So we're looking forward to it.
Now, last year, as I mentioned in the intro of the show, was just great. You were playing, ended up playing Minders in the Big House in the state qualifier game. And it was also towards the end of last year in a game that we webcast at Clyde that Damon Hunter kind of emerged, and he's back.
Yes, he is.
And so it should be some more exciting times. And mentioning Minders too, the really cool thing, Verk, this year is that we got Minders opening at Clyde on November 30th, a game that will be there. And then we got Lions playing Minders on December 28th. And Clyde playing Minders at Minders on December 27th. So back-to-back games. It was so much fun watching these teams that are separated by just a dozen miles from each other compete last year, and we're going to get to do it again this year.
Yeah, I think we talked about it last year that you never really got to see Minders play a Lions or a Clyde, and last year they played them in big games, and so kind of set the stage a little bit for these non-league games this year between Minders and Lions and Minders and Clyde. A little bit of a rivalry there. I'm sure Lions and Clyde will both be looking for a little bit of payback on Minders this year. But, it's great to see these, teams that are locally usually very good get out and play each other.
Yep.
And, it makes for great basketball and, great games.
Now, how does that come about? You're playing actually up when you play Minders in terms of school size, I guess. How do you range that game? Is it something
I know at our school, I pretty much just get in contact with people. And Marion's back in the league as varsity this year, so we only have 2 non-league games where the last couple years we've been able to have 4. So we needed 2. I know basically Coach Fields kind of decided to step down, and I'd been in contact a little bit with the Minders AD, just kind of going back and forth with dates, and we couldn't really work anything out. And then when Nick was appointed, and Nick and I know each other pretty well, and he was interested, and we set up 2 dates to play. They're not really that much of a step up for us in class size. I mean, they're the highest C,
right?
And we're the middle C. But they're a little bigger school. They play in I shouldn't say a better league, but schools that are bigger than our league. So that's to their advantage when they get to sectionals for sure. And for me, why I wanted to play them was, Clyde is in our sectional bracket this year. They have a lot of size. And, Ruddy's obviously one of the premier big players in the league. Mm-hmm. And we need to work playing against big guys if we want to win sectionals. And it's a good program, and it's a nice short trip, and I think we'll get good crowds for both games. So I hope it is fun and successful.
Yeah, and I thought last year with you guys playing Newark, I think that prepared you for sectionals a little bit. You step out and play. Your league was probably down a little bit last year as compared to other years. So, it's good for the kids to get out and, and play those big games. And, that Newark Lions game was a great thing last year. And a lot of hype around it, kind of sets the stage for what sectionals is going to be like.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if we lost the Newark game, obviously, but I think it kind of rewoke our kids a little bit. And it's a big crowd. And it ended up paying dividends for us down the stretch for sure.
Now, you mentioned playing some bigger teams like Minders. You lose Trey Johnson, who really came alive at the postseason, started playing to his potential. What do you got back this year in terms of some front court size and depth?
From last year, we have 3 of our, Damon obviously played a lot at the end of the year, Damon Hunter. But then we have DJ Long is back.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm hoping, he's expanded his game a little bit. He's put on some weight. He's stepping outside, shooting the ball a little better. And, he's going to have to be a big player for us if we want to continue our success. And Damian Scott is also back. He was he started a lot, came off the bench sometimes. Great kid, doesn't complain, never complained about his role. And we kind of got yo-yoed a little bit last year. And it's his senior year, and I think he's going to hopefully step up. And those are kind of our main three cogs. And our JV team was pretty successful, but it does take some time for those players to adjust to the varsity game. And we have a couple players back that played varsity for us last year, so kind of in more of a coming off the bench role every once in a while. But those are our main three cogs, and we'll see if some of the younger guys can step up. Right now it's a learning process. And I think it might take us till maybe halfway through the season, till we're kind of clicking on all cylinders. But that's the youth that we have kind of in our bigs.
Well, Devin Veter's another loss. Now there's a guy who was a leader by example, and I'm sure in the locker room. Who do you look to this year to take that leadership role?
Our seniors, hopefully, Damian and DJ. We've talked about that a lot. I've had some meetings just with those two, talking a little bit about that. And, with Damon, actually, with his nickname is Tippy, so I'm going to call him Tippy on here. With Tippy as well, he's been in those pressure situations before, so hopefully, and he performed very well, for a kid being in some difficult spots for his first time. So hopefully those guys can kind of lead the way and help us, especially early in the season. We don't get off to a very easy start. We're at ER, and then we have Clyde at home for our first two games. So that's those are going to be good tests, and just, like I said, hopefully just get better game by game and have a good season.
So you think, in terms of your league, I know it's a pretty deep league. Clyde, you think, would be the favorite early on?
Yeah, I mean, they have the player of the year back, Cam DeSano, who's a very good player, and Joe Main, when he played at that game versus Minders last year at Waterloo, I thought he was maybe the best player on the court for times. I'm not taking anything away to anybody else, but Brandon was pretty good that game too. But Joe Main he's good, and they also have a Turner boy up from JV, who's another tall, lengthy athlete, Joe Faniel, and at the guard, I don't know how you say his last name, Joe. I'm sorry, Joe. Faniel, yeah. Very good athlete, great football player, great track star, pretty good basketball player. And they have a couple other guys that were with them last year. So I'd say they, just based on their height, most people say, if you have height, and they can both shoot it, they can both handle it. They're both very good leapers. I would say that most people would probably pick them, but I do think
But they would have picked them last year. I think at least a lot of people were, and you guys ended up beating them in their own gym to capture a share of that league title, and then going a step further than them in the postseason.
Yeah, I mean we played them 10 times last year. I think it comes out maybe 5-5. We were pretty even personally. So we'll just have to see this year. I think the league is going to be a little more balanced. I think East Rochester's bringing back 3 or 4 of their starters from last year, and a first-teamer in Justin Rio. And North Rose is the team that I think could maybe sneak up on
Christine?
some people. Yeah, I mean, Christine is a man. I mean, he's a big kid, tree trunks for legs, can step out and shoot a three, very physical. They have a Stevenson kid who came up the second half of last year, who's a pretty good player. And, the key for them is they're very young at guard. And, that's kind of a strength for us. But down low, we're young, so I think I think that would probably be, if I had to do some sort of preseason ranking, probably the top 4. But some of the other teams, I know the Slobe kid's back from Red Creek, and there's some other good players in the league this year for sure.
Now, is Molzani coaching Marion?
Yes, he's back. They have only a varsity team this year.
Okay.
They just had one of those. We're about the same size school, and they only had like 40 kids. Or 40 males in their junior and senior classes combined, and they've just been down on numbers a little bit. But, yeah, they're back with varsity this year.
Well, hey, it should be a great season in Wayne County, and those crossover games are going to be great. And it's awesome when Lyons and Clyde are both good, obviously, for obvious reasons, set up those great rivalry games. And we, for the past few years, have live webcast the games at Clyde. We want to come to Lions, but the Atwood's kind of small. We're afraid our equipment's going to get damaged because it's so tight.
Come over, take a scan at it. We can make it happen. I actually talked to my I don't know what you want to call him, techie guy, Alex, and he said he said, well, whatever happened? That guy emailed me. Can we get you in?
I got scared.
I said, yeah. I said, maybe for a game next year.
We did it in Romulus. I think we could do it in Lions.
Yeah, but they didn't bring the amount of fans that Lions.
It's not jam packed. I mean, we get a good crowd for a lot of games.
For a Clyde game.
It's not for that Clyde game. You can't really move in there.
But maybe we'll sneak in that North. You play North Rose-Wolcott last game of the regular season. Is that right, or is it Sodas?
North Rose-Wolcott.
Okay, so we could get a look at Christine. We might add a game to our schedule. You never know. Which, by the way, this year's schedule 14 games, including 2 girls games this year. We got Minders at Waterloo at Minders girls, and then we got, of course, Newark at Waterloo girls, because that Waterloo girls team is going to be great. And we're going to be in Clyde, we're going to be in Newark, we're going to be in Waterloo, we're going to be in Romulus, we're going to be in Minders. And we're going to release that schedule over the next couple of days, with our first game coming up on November 30th in Clyde for Minders versus Clyde-Savannah. So, hey, Zach, thanks for coming in, and I'm really excited, Verk, for this season. It's great to hear some of these names again, and you really can see how this is going to be shape up to be probably one of the most competitive seasons that we've seen in a while. So with that in mind, normally we'd give our players of the week at this time, but there hasn't been any games played, so let's jump ahead and give the first edition of our Wayne Finger Lakes preseason power rankings. I'll go first.
All right.
And, it's funny because last year I think I started with Lions outside of my power rankings, and, what did they do? They went ahead and tied for the league and win a sectional title. When I was looking at it, I thought, geez, losing Trey Johnson and Devin Veter, I just had to leave him out. I went with Bloomfield at number 5 out of the West. Alex Flattery, maybe one of the best players in all, the Wayne Finger Lakes. And I got them at 5. Got Minders at 4, which that was hard to do too. I mean, new coach, whole new starting backcourt. Not just like Geneva lost their backcourt. Minders loses Pasalacqua and Ricky.
Yeah, it's a lot to replace.
And so Jason Anderson's going to play point, I guess, who he was, more of a small forward.
Yeah, he kind of played the small forward, really.
So.
But, he's capable, so we'll see how that goes.
And then I went with Newark at 3, Geneva at 2, and I went Clyde-Savannah at 1 because I love those big guys. I just think they're going to – I don't think they've achieved at Clyde what they could achieve with those two guys together, DeSanto and Bogans. And so this is the last shot. I got them number 1 to start the season, but that could change real quick on November 30th when Minders comes to town. How about you, Verk? What do you got?
And going back and forth on that 5th spot a little bit between Lions and Wayne. I'm going to go with Wayne with Hollenbeck in there at 6'7", and
I hope all you guys are listening.
And then
motivation.
I got Minders at 4. They got some nice pieces back. They're going to be a little young off the bench there. They got some freshmen up. But they have some very good athletes. Obviously, Ruddy's going to be the focal point of, offensively and defensively for them.
Right.
I went with Geneva at 3. Like Coach Miller was talking about, they got a lot to replace, obviously, in that backcourt, and looking for some leadership there. Clyde 2. For reasons you talked about. I got Newark number 1. I just think they bring back a lot of experience this year, and a lot of athletes there, and look for them to win the Finger Lakes East this year.
Well, there you have it. That'll be we'll give those power rankings every week, and not that it matters. Everybody's in different classes and different leagues, but it's fun to take a kind of overview look at our local Wayne Finger Lakes leagues. And also, we're going to give our players of the week each week. We're also going to give our preseason all first team, all second team player of the year, coach of the year, and all that stuff. Next Thursday is Thanksgiving Day. Probably not going to have an episode. So what we're probably going to do, because the season starts 2 days later for Minders and Clyde, is we're going to post it on our website. So keep an eye out at our homepage at podcast.fingerlakes1.com/Upstate Hoops, or just watch the fingerlakes1.com sports page. And thanks again, Zach, for spending some time with us. And
thanks for having me.
Just like Brian, our coach Brian Miller, we're sure it won't be the last time we talk to you this year. He's a great resource for us.
No doubt.
and it helps us make the show better, for sure. So that about wraps it up for this edition of the Upstate Hoops Podcast. Join us next week when we give our actually, I'm just reading off this script, but like I say, our preseason team, we're probably just going to post it because we're probably not going to do a Thanksgiving night show this year. And then, for our live viewers, we'll be back online in about 25 minutes at 10 o'clock Eastern for the Upstate Orange Podcast. So grab a quick snack and stay tuned. And thanks again for joining us on the Upstate Hoops Podcast. For my partner, Matt Verkey, Lyons Lions head coach Zac Young, our producer Jeremy Hunt, I'm Jim Sinicropi. Have a great week.